Want to see more cool videos on our channel? We do, so press this bell and enable to send notifications.
It's incredible what we've found buried in the depths of the sea. Every shipwreck is exciting, but sometimes divers stumble across objects that have no business being near water in the first place. There could be thousands of new creatures down there in the depths waiting to be discovered, but there are also many buried and forgotten treasures to find too. Number 10. Lake Baikal. Lake Baikal is an ancient, massive lake in the mountainous Russian region of Siberia, north of the Mongolian border. Lake Baikal is also considered as the deepest lake in the world. Many travelers and local residents can often eyewitness strange phenomena happening on the lake, mirage and fiery flashes. This mysterious lake has a habit of collecting vehicles large and small, and doing it in big numbers. The roads near the lake are treacherous in cold water, meaning many a road vehicle has lost its way and plunged into the icy waters. It's not just road vehicles, even objects seem to fall from the sky into the lake, as if the waters have a magnetic pull. Lake Baikal has an astonishing 22% of the world's fresh surface water. At its deepest, it's over 5,000 feet below water, and that's a lot of space for things to get lost. In total, 92 cars, 18 boats, 6 snowmobiles, 2 motorcycles, several tractors, a helicopter, and a full-sized plane have been pulled out of the water within the past 15 years. There's still a lot of vehicles down there, and what locals call the underwater cemetery, and getting them out is a priority, as leaking fuels and decaying materials make the water of the lake poisonous if they stayed down there for too long. Number 9. San Jose. On June 8, 1708, a ship named the San Jose was sunk with 600 people on board, as well as a treasure of gold, silver, and emeralds during a battle with British ships in the War of Spanish Succession. The treasure is worth as much as $17 billion by modern standards. For centuries, its location was known as the Holy Grail of shipwrecks and long considered one of history's greatest maritime mysteries. It was a Colombian operation that finally located the wreck in 2015, close to the port of Cartagena, and experts believe it's the most valuable shipwreck ever found. An autonomous underwater vehicle, REMUS 600, took some side sonar images that found the San Jose in more than 2,000 feet of water. Now there's a question about who gets to keep the treasure. Technically, the Spanish have a right to ownership, as the ship was originally their property. However, the fact that it was located within Colombian waters also gives the Colombians the right to claim it for themselves. That dispute still hasn't been resolved, and the ship and all its cargo remain underwater, with the Colombians treating the precise location as a state secret. Number 8. Prehistoric rhinoceros. When we talk about finding new kinds of animals underwater, we imagine a species of fish we've never encountered before. But divers exploring the Black Sea and Odessa made a startling discovery when they went down to explore what lies beneath. A prehistoric rhinoceros preserved as a fossil. The beast was over 10 feet long with fearsome fangs, as opposed to horns that we see on the head of rhinos today. This animal is an ancestor of the modern rhino. The rhino is just the beginning of what scientists hope will be a number of amazing finds in the Odessa area. Wooden buildings have also been located, which finally proved that the Black Sea was once dry land and inhabited by humans. We now believe that a powerful flood from the Mediterranean Sea sank the land some 7,500 years ago. Number 7. Nuestra Señora de Atocha. Until we found the San Jose, the Nuestra Señora de Atocha was the most valuable shipwreck in human history. Named for a holy shrine in Madrid, the heavily armed galleon Nuestra Señora de Atocha served as the almirante, or rear guard of the Spanish fleet that left Havana in early September 1622. In addition to 265 people, the ship carried as much as 40 tons of silver, gold, and assorted riches from Colombia, Peru, and other regions of South America. After a hurricane struck on September 5, 1622, the 8 other ships in the fleet sank. So far, $450 million worth of goods has been raised from the bottom. But that's only part of the story. The ship broke apart when it sank, and only some of it has been found. There are many valuable items listed on the ship's cargo which are still missing, and there are still people out looking for them. Number 6. Mexican Cathedral. What the water takes, sometimes it gives back. That's the case for this beautiful Mexican cathedral, which was lost at the bottom of a reservoir in Chiapas for 50 years. A drought in the Mexican state of Chiapas has led to the reappearance of a mid-16th century church. Lack of rain in southern Mexico has dropped the water level in the Nezahualcóyotl Reservoir, revealing the Temple of Santiago, a church built in 1564. But the church was abandoned after plague swept the region in the late 18th century. It was a church built thinking that this could be a great population center, but it never achieved that. This is the second time the church has become visible since the construction of a dam led to the flooding of the structure in 1966. By 2002, water levels fell so low that visitors could enter the Temple of Santiago and walk inside it. At its highest point, the church stands at 48 feet. According to the Huffington Post, it's normally under nearly 100 feet of water. As water levels have dipped by more than 80 feet, local fishermen have been taking visitors in boats to see the remains up close. Number 5. Lost Continent. Our Earth is built on tectonic plates which shift and move over time. That's how earthquakes and volcanoes appear. Sometimes the movements are much bigger. We know that the continents we now live on were once much closer together, and in some cases even connected. That all changed millions of years ago. When it did, we lost the largest continent of them all. A team of Swedish and South African researchers have discovered zircon in the rocks of the Indian Ocean floor near Mauritius. Zircon is only ever present in ancient layers of continental crust. The scientists are confident that this was once the almost mythical continent of Gondwana, a giant continent that existed between India and Madagascar. It began to disintegrate 200 million years ago and finally collapsed and vanished 84 million years ago. Mauritius is either the only piece of this old giant that still exists above water, or it's a new piece of land that's grown from the shell of an old one. Number 4. Sweepstakes. The world's ocean floor is littered with around 3 million shipwrecks, according to the United Nations. But one of the most captivating is in a pool of water much smaller, at the bottom of an Ontario lake. Shimmering in the clear blue water just 20 feet below the surface lies the Sweepstakes, a 19th century boat. Despite sinking in 1885, she still holds an attraction for divers and tourists in the Fathom 5 National Marine Park. Sweepstakes was a Canadian schooner built in Burlington, Ontario in 1867. At 218 gross tons, she was 119 feet long with a 23-foot beam and a 10-foot depth of hold. The end came for Sweepstakes in the summer of 1885 when she was hauling coal near Cove Island and her hull was damaged. She was towed to the head of Big Tub Harbor to be repaired, but the damage proved too expensive to make a repair economically viable. A decision was made to sink her, and she was stripped of anything of value before being allowed to travel to the bottom of the seabed. Although she deteriorates more each year, she is still considered one of the best preserved 19th century Great Lakes schooners to ever be discovered. Metal bars are now throughout the inside of her hull. These have been installed by Parks Canada to reinforce the hull and deck. There is also a wire fence to stop divers going into the wreckage in an attempt to preserve the shipwreck. Number 3. SS Baron Gausch. The SS Baron Gausch is a shipwreck that should never have been a shipwreck. The proud Austro-Hungarian passenger ship, which was a full 300 feet long, was built in 1908 and conscripted into military service after the outbreak of World War I in 1914. The massive steam engine vessel was to serve as a supply ship. On the 13th of August, 1914, the ship was sunk. The captain of the ship was asleep in his cabin. The first officer was supposed to be in charge, but he left the bridge without the captain's permission, leaving commands in the hand of a young and inexperienced officer named Tenza. The Austro-Hungarian army had been laying mines around the area the ship was sailing in with the intention of protecting a nearby port town. But Tenza's poor direction resulted in the ship sailing miles north of its intended position and into the minefield. When he finally realized his error and turned around, it was too late. The ship struck a mine and sank within 7 minutes of impact. The entire command crew later stood trial for their negligence, and the shipwreck wasn't discovered until 1958. Number 2. DIAN Kingdom. In 2001, a team of archaeologists working at Fujian Lake in China discovered a vast collection of underwater buildings at the bottom of the lake. Locals had often claimed to be able to see a ghost-like city beneath the waters on a calm day, and over the years, the stories became something of a local legend. On subsequent diving trips, the archaeologists found standing walls, streets paved with flagstones, and the ruins of an entire city spread across 6.5 square kilometers, 2.5 square miles. After carbon dating several earthenware pots, it was determined that the ruin was close to 1,750 years old. It's believed that an entire section of the city simply broke off and slid into the lake, where it's been preserved for all these years. Number 1. Museo Atlantico. You may have visited dozens of museums, but you'll never have seen anything like Museo Atlantico, a fully functional underwater museum off the coast of Lanzarote. It's the latest ingenious work of British artist Jason DeCars Taylor, a marine expert and diver who's made a career out of working below the waves. Taylor has created and submerged over 300 sculptures into the Atlantic Ocean in an attempt to draw attention to climate change and the need for conservation work to preserve our planet's environment. All of Taylor's sculptures are made from specially designed materials which don't corrode or dissolve into the water, meaning they pose no hazard to the plants or fish which swim around them. The star of the show is the human gyre. More than 200 statues of human beings arranged in a circle life-sized and representing people of all ages and backgrounds. The circular structure has been specifically designed to resemble a reef, making it inviting for marine life to cluster around it. Taylor says the human gyre is a reminder that life on our planet began in the seas and that both we and our world still depend upon it for our survival. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please let me know by clicking the like button. Do share, write a comment, and don't forget to subscribe so that you can catch up my next video.